In this video, we're going to review simplicity motorization. We'll show you basic operation, simple programming, and some troubleshooting tips. Before we get started, let's review the buttons on the front of the remote. The channel display at the top of the remote indicates what channel you're on. The channel plus and channel minus buttons at the bottom of the remote allow you to filter through the channels. The up arrow raises the shade. The down arrow lowers the shade. The stop button located in the center stops the shade mid-range. You can also use this button when you program a favorites position. On the back of the remote, you have two buttons. One is indicated by the letter C, which is your confirm button, and the L is your limit switch. You'll use these buttons for advanced programming and troubleshooting. Let's start with operating the shade. The factory has set the shade to the channel specified on the order. If no channel was specified, the shade is set to operate on channel 1. The simplicity motor runs on radio frequency, so there's no need to point or aim the remote at the shade. Instead, the radio frequency operation will control the shade. Filter through the channels with the Channels button. If all 5 lights are lit, you can control blinds on all 5 channels at once. We'll select channel 1. Tap the up or down button for less than 2 seconds to move the shade in short movements. Hold the up or down button for more than 2 seconds. When the shade begins to operate, release the button. The shade will stop at the pre-programmed stops. To stop the shade in a desired position between fully up or down, press the stop button and the shade will stop at the desired spot. If you'd like to add a shade to a new channel, follow these steps. Keep in mind this will add the shade to another channel. If you'd like to erase the shade from a channel, follow the reboot and relink instructions found later in this video. Before the shade is installed and with the battery attached, locate the black button on the motor. Press it once until the shade jogs. Release the button immediately after the first jog. This should not be more than 3 seconds. Repeat this step for all shades that will be controlled by the same channel. Select the channel that you want to program using the Channel Selector button. In this case, we'll select Channel 3. Press and hold the Confirm button until the shade or shades jog once. The shade is now linked to the remote. In addition to fully up or fully down, you can program the shade to stop at a desired favorite position. First, position the shade to the desired favorite position. Locate the Limit button on the back of the remote. While holding the Limit button, press and hold the Up button. Once you see and hear the shade jog, release both buttons. The favorite position has now been set. When the shade is either raised or lowered, press the Stop button and the shade will move to the favorite position. To move the shade to the favorite position from a position other than fully raised or lowered, ensure the shade has been stopped for at least 3 seconds and then press the Stop button. Follow these steps to change the favorite position. First, move the shade to the new desired position. While holding the Limit button, press and hold the Up button. Once you see and hear the shade jog, release both buttons. The favorite position has now been set. To erase a favorite position, raise the shade completely. Press and hold the Limit button on the back of the remote, and then press and hold the Up button. Release both buttons when the shade jogs and the favorite position has been removed. The upper and lower limits have been set at the factory. These limits can be reset. If you decide to reset the limits, both the upper and lower limit must be reset. Select the channel for the shade that needs to be adjusted. In this case, we'll adjust the shade on channel 1. If you're adjusting one shade on a channel and there are other shades on that channel, unplug the power source for those other shades. The important thing to note here is that you'll set the lower limit first, which means the shade must be in the fully raised position to start this process. Hold the limit button until the motor begins to jog. Release the button after the jogging starts. Press the down button to lower the shade. When the shade nears the desired new limit, press the stop button on the remote. The motor will stop running. To fine-tune to the exact position, press the up or down button to move the shade in small increments. To now set the shade in position, press the confirm button on the back of the remote. The shade will jog and the new limit is set. Repeat these steps for the new top limit. Move the shade to the desired height, and on the back of the remote, press the confirm button. The shade will jog and the new limit is set. Let's go through some basic troubleshooting. If the shade arrives and the up-down buttons work in the reverse, meaning the down button moves the shade up and the up button moves the shade down, you can reverse the direction of the motor. Press and hold the limit and stop buttons at the same time. When you see the motor jog, the direction of the motor has been changed. If the shade does not operate, there's a couple quick things to check. First, make sure the batteries in both the remote and the battery wand were installed properly. To check the battery wand, remove the cap and make sure the batteries are facing the direction indicated on the image located on the battery wand. Make sure all connections are secure, both on the battery wand and the connection from the motor to the battery wand. If the shade does not respond to remote control commands, ask yourself, did it work previously? If so, change the batteries in both the remote and the battery wand. If the issue continues, the first step is to take the blind down, making sure the battery is still attached. You'll locate the black reset button on the motor. Hold the black reset button for 8 seconds. The motor will jog during this time. You will hear 4 sets of jogs. After you hear the 4th set of jogs, release the reset button on the motor. Press and hold the reset button again until the shade jogs once. Immediately release as soon as the shade jogs. Next, we'll select and confirm the desired channel on the remote, in this case 1. Once the remote is on the proper channel, we'll press and hold the confirm button until the shade jogs. Lastly, we'll press and hold the limit button for at least 6 seconds until the shade jogs. Next, reinstall the shade and reset the limits. Press and release the down button. The motor will go continuously down. When the motor nears the new desired limit, press the stop button on the remote. The motor will stop running. Press the confirm button to set the limit. You'll hear and see the shade jog. Repeat for the new top limit. Press the up button, and when the shade reaches the top, press the stop button. Confirm the setting by pressing the confirm button on the back of the remote. Run the shade completely down and up to ensure the limits have been set correctly. For further assistance, please contact customer service.